Two Views Wrestling. Let's get into it.
Give me a hell yeah. What?
The time is now for a retrospective look at the Last Time Is Now tournament. Before we fantasy book our tournaments, let's talk about what we liked and didn't like about the Last Time Is Now tournament. First, be sure to hit the comments below letting my partner know that I was right, that the ending to Cena and Gunther was trash. What was something that you liked about the tournament and didn't like?
For me, I think the right guy won the tournament. I think that we had all, for the entire year of the retirement tour, figured that Gunther was going to be Cena's last opponent. And then when we got to it, everybody started complaining. But I think Gunther was the right guy for the job. I like the professional wrestler versus sports entertainer type of thing they did. But the thing I didn't like was I felt like the tournament was rushed. I feel like they should have dragged it out and built it up more and gave the matches more time. I would have had the tournament final be at Survivor Series, and then you could have got almost a month of Gunther and Cena kind of promo battling each other, and you could have hyped up the professional wrestler versus sports entertainer aspect of it, and I think it would have come off a lot better, and there would have been more hype behind it.
Some things that stood out to me for it is I liked the spectacle of it. I agree that it could have been maybe a little bit bigger, but for spectacle, I mean like the presentation. I thought the graphics for the tournament with the gold was so fucking sick. The fact that there were 16 men in it. Having said that, though, what I didn't like about the tournament was some of the guys in the tournament. Dolph Ziggler, Zack Ryder, Damian Priest, Rusev, Nakamura. I don't think there should have been guys in there that we all knew had no chance of not only winning the tournament, but being like, not only do they not have a chance of winning the tournament, we know that they can't even beat Cena in his final match. Like, there's no way Cena would go out on a loss to one of those guys. So I didn't like that. Now, if you were booking the tournament, how would you have booked it?
Piggybacking off what you just said, looking at guys like Nakamura, Rusev, Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler, those are guys that Cena had already competed against and beat, well, except Nakamura. Shout out Nakamura, 1-0 against John Cena. But my tournament would have been strictly guys that had never faced John Cena. So somebody gets an opportunity to go against the GOAT in his last match. And for my 8 guys, my first round matches would have been Penta versus Carmelo Hayes, Dragunov versus Jacob Fatu, Bronson Reed versus Gunther, and then Ethan Page versus Uncle Howdy. And then going into the final 4, I would have had Penta versus Gunther, Jacob Fatu versus Howdy. And then for our final, we would have got Jacob Fatu and Gunther, which I think it would have been a banger match and really would have hyped up, these two guys trying to destroy each other just to get that chance at Cena. And I ultimately would have kept Gunther as the winner of the tournament.
Does Gunther beat Cena?
Yeah, I like the idea of Cena going out on a loss. I like the idea of him tapping out. Because, like I said, I would have done a longer build-up to the final, the Cena versus Gunther match, and hyped up the professional wrestler, sports entertainer. And I also would have kind of kept going back to Gunther talking about breaking John Cena. And I think we kind of argue and differ on the finish of it. For me, I think what hurt it was the celebration after. I feel like Cena should have tapped out, and then you end the show with him kind of in the middle of the ring, looking sad, whatever, defeated. You could have done the celebration the following episode on Raw, almost like how they did for Ric Flair when he retired the first time, or whatever time that was.
You mentioning ending it at Survivor Series, I really like that idea. Because giving Gunther more time to hype up the match and talk about I'm going to break your spirit would have maybe made me have a better outlook on that finish of Gunther and Cena tapping if Gunther hyped it up more like that, if he had time to build up to it. So looking at your bracket, though, a couple of questions I had was, Uncle Howdy, do you still believe that he could be a main eventer?
I think that there's something there, but it's got to be, they're got to put some work into it. As far as my tournament, I wanted Uncle Howdy and Jacob Fatu as throwbacks to Cena's feuds with Bray Wyatt and Cena's history with the Bloodline. So that's kind of the reason, not the main reason for Fatu. I'm a huge Fatu fan, but that's the main reason for Uncle Howdy, just to kind of, you could have, when Howdy his first match of the tournament, you could have gave us a video package of Bray Wyatt and Cena's feud and kind of reminded us of that, great feud and the history there. So I just kind of wanted to mix it in with, you have guys that, their family kind of has a history with Cena. So you could have kind of built on that.
And then the other name, shout out to Ethan Page. I thought that was a cool pick. I think the guy...
he definitely could have worked with Cena, I think.
Yeah, it would have been fun segments for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a guy that I maybe not would have thought could beat Cena in his final match, but it is a guy that I could see making it to a semifinals of the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
The other name that jumped out to me was Dragunov. I just wanted to know if he was picked strictly for his ring work or if you think that his character could be a main eventer in WWE.
I'm a fan of Dragunov. I don't see him as a main eventer just because of, let's be honest, the size and the style. I put him in the tournament just because I like the idea of Dragunov and Jacob Fatu beating the crap out of each other.
So the way I would have booked the tournament is I wanted guys that not only are going to win a world championship for sure, but could carry a brand. My tournament is pretty heel heavy, which I kind of found interesting that all these future champs are heels right now. But my tournament would go Braun Breaker, Evans, Obafemi, Gunther, Trick Williams, Solo Sikoa. I know some people might not see it, but the dude will win a world title. Dirty Dom. And the last guy, this is the one that I was iffy on if he's going to win a world championship, is Carmelo Hayes. But in the tournament, then I would have had Evans go over Breaker with a slick roll-up, Hayes over Trick, Gunther over Dirty Dom, and Oba over Solo. In the semifinals, I would have had Gunther go over Hayes, and then I would have had Evans do another slick roll-up, this time over Obafemi. And then in the finals, you get Gunther Evans, and Gunther doesn't fall for no slick roll-up. He is the ring general. He shows how smart he is, and he just dominates Evans. So I get the finals, same Gunther Cena, but I want Cena to go out on a win. I think it's a feel-good story, and also, I don't think Gunther is going to be... Gunther losing to Jey Uso ruined any chance he had of being this dominant heel champion that WWE seemingly still thinks he can be.
Yeah, I get the Cena going over in his last match would have worked. I feel like it wouldn't have worked against Gunther just because of what you said with the Jey Uso thing. I feel like Gunther needed to beat John Cena after losing to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. I feel like he deserved it.
Are you worried that, because during the match with Cena, the crowd did chant out, "You tapped out, you tapped, you tapped." Are you worried that the crowd is going to take over Gunther's segments with the fact that he tapped to Jey Uso?
I'm not worried about that. I don't think, they used to chant, "You suck" at Kurt Angle, and then it became a part of his theme song. So I like this idea of Gunther becoming the new legend killer, and he's already got Goldberg and John Cena. And, there's potential for, they're saying that AJ and maybe Lesnar and maybe Jericho had their kind of last run in 2026. So those are three, huge names if you give them to Gunther to retire. And I think that building him up as the new legend killer and doing this whole professional wrestler type of thing, I think he could bounce back from the Jey Uso thing. In terms of the Jey Uso thing, I mean, John Cena lost to Kevin Federline, didn't hurt him. There's a lot of guys that lost to guys they shouldn't have or whatever, and it didn't really hurt them a lot.
Yeah, it still hurt. It hurts me just because I'm like, Gunther is so good, and the fact that he had to tap out to Jey Uso, like, even the fact, like, the thing is, like, you have a way to protect someone, and eating a loss through submission, like, chances are, if you watch wrestling, you also are a fan of MMA, and there's this thing about going out on your shield where you don't tap. So I think that just hurts Gunther in a way. I think you've said before, maybe Gunther just gets nervous when he's put in those positions. Like, Daniel Bryan did a really good job on an AEW pay-per-view recently talking about that with Moxley and tapping out. Sometimes you just react quickly, not thinking. It's not like you're actually in pain, but it's like
you got caught and you're scared. And I like I don't want to turn this into a Gunther episode, but I like the idea of him having a reverse streak at WrestleMania, and where he can't win at WrestleMania with the Sammy loss, the Uso loss. So you can kind of hype that up.
Oh, shit. I just forgot. You just reminded me again. That's the other reason I hated that Cena didn't beat him. He lost to Sami Zayn, too.
Well, I will say, in terms of the Sami Zayn thing, at least he almost had to kill Gunther. We seen him pull out the top rope brain buster.
That was cool.
So at least, he had to almost kill Gunther to beat him. I will say the Uso thing's weak and it was messed up. But I don't think, in my eyes, it's not holding Gunther back. And to go back to what you said, I feel like losing to Jey Uso at WrestleMania and then losing to John Cena in his last match, that might have, that might have been too big of a thing to come back from.
And one other thing I wanted to ask you, and viewers, give me your opinion in the comments. This idea of this tournament where you get to be John Cena's last opponent ever, it had the potential to be the greatest tournament of all time, right? Like, this is cooler than anything in New Japan. This is cooler than King of the Ring. At least to me it was. And it just didn't come off that way. But did you feel that way, where it had potential to be the best tournament ever? Because you're going to wrestle the GOAT in their last match ever.
Oh, they could have booked it a lot better, and it definitely could have been one of the greatest tournaments ever. I feel like it just wasn't. It wasn't given enough time. The matches weren't given enough time. But they could have done things. You could have announced this halfway through the year, and then you could have had guys fight and scramble and all this to get in the tournament, just to get in the tournament for the chance to face John Cena.
Do you think that this tournament came about on a last second, and something else was supposed to happen with Rock and Travis Scott? Hopefully not Travis Scott, but with The Rock and Cena?
No, I don't feel like that had anything to do with the booking of the tournament. I feel like they were scrambling on how to get Gunther to John Cena.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like they came up with the tournament, and it was just kind of thrown together. I feel like the Rock and Travis Scott thing, that was already off the table at WrestleMania when the Rock didn't show up. So I feel like they kind of, this felt like it was like they got to WrestlePalooza and they were like, oh crap, his last match is coming up. How do we get to this? So it felt like it was kind of rushed.
So in the comments, let us know your views on the Last Time Is Now tournament. Who would you have had in there? Who would you have had win the tournament? And were you okay with the final being Cena face Gunther and Cena going out on a loss?
That's another round of Two Views Wrestling with Tim and Greg. If you like the show, hit follow and share it with a fellow fan. Got a hot take or match request? Send it in. Until next time.